It was a normal day in Agent Fox Mulder's basement office, or at least as normal as it could be. He left early, and when he returned the next day, he discovered one of his important case files was missing. There were 4 possible suspects who had entered his office after he left: William, Dana Scully's son, Dana Scully herself, the cigarette-smoking man, and Walter Skinner. Conveniently, the thief had left an unfinished cup of coffee on Mulder's desk. Police were able to isolate DNA from the mug. So who was the thief? In order to find out, we can amplify our crime scene DNA sample at 2 different VNTR loci and then run on separate gels to create DNA fingerprints. VNTR stands for Variable Number Tandem Repeat, and it's just a location in the genome where you have repeating nucleotide sequences. These show variations in length among individuals, so you can use these variants to identify when 2 people are related. To analyze your VNTR data, you can use 2 basic principles. The first is that if you're trying to identify a match, both VNTR alleles from a specific location need to match. If 2 samples are from the same person, they must show the same allele pattern. The second is that your VNTR alleles need to follow the rules of inheritance. If you're trying to match an individual with his or her parents or children, that person must have an allele that matches one from each parent. Looking at our first gel, we are going to use the banding pattern from the crime scene sample as our point of reference. Though Mulder, we can rule out as a suspect because his banding patterns are not a match. Likewise, Scully's banding patterns are not a match. She's also ruled out as a suspect. The smoking man, on the other hand, is a perfect match for the crime scene sample, so he is a suspect. William is not a match, so he can be ruled out as a suspect. Skinner is also a perfect match for the crime scene sample, so he is another suspect. So now, our 2 suspects are the cigarette-smoking man and Skinner. We can also see that William and Scully both share a VNTR allele, which means that Scully is William's mother. William needed to have inherited this banding allele from Scully. His other banding allele would come from his father, who is not pictured here. Now let's look at our next gel for the second VNTR locus. Again, we're going to be using the sample from the crime scene as our point of reference. We already know Mulder is innocent, and again, his banding pattern does not match that from the crime scene. Scully's banding pattern does match the sample from the crime scene, but she's already been ruled out as a suspect because she would have needed to also be a match with the other locus. The cigarette-smoking man is again a perfect match for the crime scene sample. William is not a match for the crime scene sample, but again, he's already been ruled out because he was not a match, the other locus. Skinner, who was a suspect, can now be ruled out because he is not a match at this locus. Again, we can see that William inherited one of his VNTR alleles from Dana Scully, his mom. We also know that the smoking man had to have taken Mulder's file because he matched the sample at both loci, so he is guilty